reports around training camp is there was a separation between Anders Carlson and Greg Joseph. Anders with a really, really bad day. Greg Joseph, I believe, has only missed 3 kicks. Anders Carlson has missed 6. Oof. You were at an event where the talk was Anders is looking good. Anders not so looking good. What's your take, sir?
Well, the training camp battles between specialists, particularly kickers, it can be up and down now, which we're clearly experiencing now. I think everyone in the building, from what I can read in 1265, it wants Anders Carlson to win the job. The problem is he needs to do his part in order to do that, and he's facing a guy that's Greg Joseph, he's turning 30 in 3 days. I just looked it up. He's a 30-year-old man. That's old for the Green Bay Packers. That's old for the NFL.
Seasoned vet.
He's seasoned vet, and I was just looking at a bit of his history, and I'll tell you why this isn't important in a second. Dude's made game-winning kicks. He made a 54-yard game-winning field goal a couple years ago. He has been there, done that. He has seen that.
He was at his best with the Vikings, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was. He was. As a specialist in the NFL, you need a moment to prove to yourself, as you were saying earlier, Kyle, you need a moment to prove to yourself that you are capable of being there, that you belong there. Now, if you don't do that early on, you start to really wonder if you can do that. I'm not going to lie, even with my own career, I'm drafted my first 2 months. There were tough months in the NFL. Like I will even looked at myself.
Like training camp?
Training camp plus regular season. I was like, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. I really don't. You turned it on second half of the season and had enough full games, full week stretches where you're like, I'm capable, I got this, I'm comfortable, and then at least from my experience and most other specialists, you could hit the ground running second year and you already look like a seasoned vet. If you haven't had those moments, if you haven't had that game, the stretch of games, or a big moment where you delivered, you're always going to be wondering, do I have what it takes? Am I able to do this? Am I capable of being an NFL kicker, NFL punter?
I like that you said that because as I start thinking about the Packers season last year, was there a moment where you were like, oh, Anders has got this?
I don't think there was a moment. And even in his greatest moments, there was a black eye of sorts because he missed at least one PAT or field goal in like 10 straight games, right? So even his good games were marred by a negative event. There wasn't that stretch of 5 games where he hit a game winner. He went 3 for 3. Like those are the ones that instill confidence and remove doubt. I still think he's struggling with doubt. I still think he's wondering if he's the guy, and that's why I think he's streaky. Earlier in camp, he was rolling. He's starting to feel himself. You start to have a couple of those moments that doubt creeps back in. All of a sudden, he's starting to spiral, whereas Greg Joseph, he's been there, done that. He's already proven he can do it, and he knows that he's capable, and he knows that he's able to do it. I would love to see Carlson turn it around. I think he has the highest ceiling. I think he has the most talent of the two, but it's something that he has to do and prove to himself. That's why I said even this year, like, I will give you a year as a specialist to figure it out, but going into this year, you have to have it, and he just has not had that moment to instill confidence in himself, and I would hate to have that moment be in real time when the Packers are trying to win games. Every game matters when you're fighting for top seeds in the playoffs.
As it stands right now in training camp, per Rob Domofsky, our great teammate across ESPN Wisconsin who joins our shows, one more kick each to end practice, and both are good from 58 to end the 2-minute drill. Greg Joseph on the offseason so far in training camp, 29 of 31.
That's good.
Anders Carlson, 25 of 31.
Okay. Not as good. We talked about
not as good. That's a 4-kick gap.
Yeah, that's a lot.
From a struggling kicker from last year.
From a guy that
to me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, he's got to make everything from now until the season. Otherwise, this man's gone.
Yeah, I mean, in practice, he has no room for error, and even more importantly, the preseason games. He has
no
room
for
error.
What about family night in front of fans?
When you have the spotlight on you, be it family night or the games, we talked about how some, it's like a report card or like a syllabus, certain things are weighted more. The family night and games, those kicks will be weighted more. He's got to go 100% in preseason.
He may not.
Preseason games.
What we're finding out right now, and I know it's still early in training camp and there is still time, but what we're finding out is that he may not be built for this. And when I say built for this, he may not be built for this type of competition, right? Because I'm sure after your rookie year, had the Carolina Panthers brought in a veteran punter who was almost 30 and punted for 6 seasons in the NFL, you would have been a little worried, right?
I would be worried.
And so that is an added level of pressure of somebody who we already know cracks or bursts when he has some type of pressure. And right now, especially a day like today, the fact that he couldn't regather himself, refocus himself, and he went on to have a 1-for-3 day, I believe.
It compounded. It got worse and worse and worse.
That's worrisome because this is practice. We talking about practice, as we talked about last week with Jordan Love. And he still can't get it together. The pressure is real in the game.
And here's where I think the Packers did him a disservice. They notably did not add any veteran to compete with him last year as a true rookie. The very first hurdle of do I have what it takes? Am I capable of being an NFL specialist? Is going out there and beating a specialist who has been there and done that. I had to beat out a 12-year vet in order to do it, and most guys go through that rite of passage of beating out another guy to earn their spot. The Packers didn't allow him to do that, and by not allowing him to work through that, put that crown on his head and said, I beat out another guy that has done this, therefore I know I can do this. I think they did him a disservice.
They sure did.
No competition, given the job, dealt with all the pressure, didn't deliver, and now the pressure's on in training camp, and it's only going to heighten, right?
Oh, yeah.
The
games are only bigger now. And the spotlight for the Packers is already big, but now for sure, with it being a playoff team, presumably, huge kicks.
When we talk about all the exciting things around the Green Bay Packers, it is what this offense can be. It is hopefully figuring out if they actually have talent that can put together a top 10 defense with a new 4-3 scheme. Does the talent fit what they're trying to do? And when you look at those two things, there is an important aspect. And I hate coming back to this, but I actually don't at all, because it's all about what? Super Bowls. And you know who is great in the Super Bowls? The kickers.
Yeah.
The kickers kept them in the games. And you know what kept the Green Bay Packers out of beating the San Francisco 49ers?
A kicker. And this is why, as we're the off season and now training camp kind of goes along, we've talked about the offense versus defense yesterday. Really, at this point, we know what we're going to get from this offense. They're only growing. The defense, we're going to wait and see how they perform during the regular season. But when it comes down to Anders Carlson, what we don't want is a repeat of last year, where he is the reason why the Packers don't reach the pinnacle of winning a Super Bowl. That will be damning for Brian Gutekunst.
Well, and there's really no time to waste, because I do think it's going to take a minute for this defense to get its legs underneath them. Therefore, Packers are going to have to score more points early to win games. Big part of scoring points is having a kicker that you're confident when you reach the 40-yard line and in that can get you at least 3 points.